Okay, so tonight slash this morning before I go to sleep, I'm going to do a bit of a brain dump on buying Pokemon cards in Japan. There's a boatload of content online, mostly video content about buying cards, the reality of buying Pokemon cards in Japan. Some sort of like version of that title with like the usual thumbnail of that or how much they spent on cards in Japan and taking the cameras into the shops, seeing all the cards. Um, and I think that content's fine for the most part. It's harmless. At the very least, it's informational about what kind of cards you can find, what card shops to go to potentially, making your own list of card shops to go to on your own trip. For me, and in this video, I'll just be sharing maybe some of my tips on how to approach buying in Japan, as well as whether, and then from there, maybe you make your own decision on whether it's worth spending any time here sourcing, searching, looking, and ultimately buying cards for whatever purpose you want to use them for. This will mostly be on single cards, only be on single cards. I don't really do sealed at all. Um, so it'll be pretty much all on single cards, and it'll be probably geared more towards those who are looking to either collect or source for their own store inventory. And the biggest thing, I guess, is that if you are just like a casual collector and your exposure to Pokemon cards is pretty limited, or like it's just like a hobby pastime phase where you want to open some packs and fill the binder, then you're probably fine to just go to like a few shops in like Akihabara and you know pick out a few cards you like from the display case and go on your way. Like even if it's a little more expensive, you save a lot of time, and I think that'll be like a core theme in this kind of like brain dump is time, because not everybody has the same amount of time to spend in Japan than others. For myself, um, I come pretty much in and out of the country, and that's all I do. Whenever I'm not like working a string of shows in America, I am here to source cards, and it's a lot of fun, obviously, but it's something I do pretty much every day when I'm here. I'm probably a little bit more fortunate uh, in a couple ways, where before I started selling cards, I'd already been here as a tourist and have a general understanding of like how the culture and daily life is before spending a lot more time here in the last year and a half or so, like pre-COVID, coming here a lot as a tourist and being, you know, having natural interest in the culture and daily life and assimilation here, and like the values and how to kind of like blend in with society here. Where and then second of all, also is I'm based in the West Coast United States, so it is much easier and cheaper to get here by plane. So I think those are a couple kind of like ground rules to set for myself, and I think that naturally goes into the next point about time. Um, those I talk to in the space who also, do the whole show circuit, selling more than just like a part-time thing. For a lot of them, like, might be their first, maybe their second or third time here, and maybe they don't have as much time to spend here. Maybe it's like 2 weeks max. If it's their first time here, then a lot of times I tell them like, hey, go enjoy the country, like take a vacation, like hit up a few shops, but like in like no way like it's possible, but like, the whole thought is around like how to pay off the trip with cards. Breaking even is one thing. I think breaking even on like your first Japan trip is a huge success. Uh, and then past that, I think where you can get to is like obviously profiting, like in expected value. So the kind of like definition of like business success. Obviously, making trips here is profit, but profit in terms of expected value of what you source and bring back. So for a lot of people, it might be their first or second time here. Uh, so along with the videos that get posted on the internet about card shopping here, on top of it being like someone's first or second time here, like it's just overstimulation, like from 1 to 100 million of like just how starkly different the culture is in Japan than it is in a like Western country like the UK or United States. So there's a lot going on. Like if you are a first, second, or even third timer. Um, so I'll first thing I'll cover here is like time. Um, one thing a lot of people underestimate is how potentially long it could take to get from point A to point B. You're not gonna have a car. You're gonna be riding the train everywhere. The train system is absolutely insane, efficient, but also like once you leave your place for the day, like you better have everything you need for the day, or else like going back to the hotel could like really put a like massive like wrench in your day. Like I used to live in Chiba, so like an hour trip into the city center every day for me. And if I left something really important at home, like that would like mean I wouldn't get to go to a few different card shops. So like plan accordingly with how much time you're going to be spending going from point A to point B. That's walking, train travel, waiting for the train, probably getting lost in the train system. So obviously Google Maps is going to be your friend. Um, and that kind of goes into my next point is to like really optimize where you're going to stay. Like if you're actually here like just for cards and just to like source, my recommendation is to stay somewhere on Chuosen or the Chuo line. I think it's like the I don't remember what color it is on Google Maps, but it's basically Shinjuku Station or Ochanomizu Station, which is near Akihabara. I mentioned Ochanomizu Station because is exactly on is one of the express Chuo line stops that will allow you to like basically travel and cut through the middle of the city, and those will take you to areas as far as Hachioji, on one end through to like Tachikawa, Nakano, Shinjuku, Akihabara. Uh, Actually, it doesn't stop at Akiba, but it'll stop at Ochanomizu, and that is a like 5 minute walk to the like outer edge of Akiba, where there's a ton of shops. So that's another thing too, is like planning which cities within a city you're gonna go to for card shopping. You're gonna want to group them together so that like you can maximize the number of shops you go to in a day. And like let's say you have 7 days, you'd probably want to hit like all of Tokyo, which is possible to do with regards to card shops at least. Like, you could do that in 3-ish days. Like off the top of my head, card shops to go to are in Akihabara, Nakano, Ikebukuro. There's a couple in Shinjuku, but not really go to them. Shibuya has a handful. Mandarake there is really good, in my opinion. Did I say Nakano already? Nakano. Kichijoji has a few. Tachikawa and Hachioji. You could go a little bit farther out into areas in Saitama, in Omiya, or Kashiwa, or Chiba, like actual Chiba station, so past Disneyland. And then 25 minutes from Shibuya is Yokohama, handful of shops down there. So basically all the trading card shops congregate in certain areas within the city metro areas, and you can kind of group those together based on where they are geographically on the map. So definitely optimize for time. And to kind of build on that, one more thought is this kind of goes hand in hand with time too. This is completely my opinion. It is helpful to learn very basic, like very basic Japanese. Learning a language is one of the most difficult things you could do. I've been at it with Japanese for the last year and a half, and it's tough. Like, it took me a year and a half and a lot of lessons and a non-trivial amount of money. Obviously, you could do it without any, you could do it all with free resources, teaching, and supplements out there on the internet, and do it for free. But you have to be extremely disciplined to do it yourself. And for me, like, just doing lessons adds that kind of like accountability where, like, at a certain time and place you have to be there or else you're going to waste this money. And not only that is that you get the extra like natural human interaction out of it too. So for me, I've been at it for like the last year and a half, and it's just now I'm like barely like at a point where I'm starting to become more confident using the language on a conversational basis. But my point is that for it to like help being here, it goes a long way. Like interacting with shop staff too, like just knowing basic transactional Japanese to complete like getting their attention, pointing out which showcase you want to look at, identifying the card. So that also includes like learning katakana, hiragana. For the purpose of like card shopping, you don't really need to know kanji. That is an entirely different like rabbit hole to go down, but just a communication aspect and like the basic reading of hiragana and katakana characters, it goes a long way. It'll save you a little bit of time, and it's just my opinion too that like it makes the experience better. You apply it to like other parts of the trip too in your time there. And this is gonna sound like this comes off as like kind of gatekeepy. Like I can't be the one. Like it is not my place to like like be in that area. But like the way I see it is that people who come to America or like UK, like where English is the main language, you have to speak English. Like you have to know English. Whereas like a lot of Westerners get away with it in other countries where like the host kind of people, the native people of that country, have to accommodate you. Whereas if they came to America, they'd be fucked. So that's kind of my stance on it. Like I'm that's just my bias. But it does go a little bit further if you can like if there's that like struggle removed of just like using some of the language to I like work through the transaction. Um and I'll be like, I see it firsthand, like in stores too. Uh, like the people who come in straight up English. Some people ask for a discount in English, which is a little bold. Um, there's more like the whole tourism thing here in Japan is no joke. I can't be the spokesperson for it. I can't to be clear. But with my own two eyes, I can say that like in a lot of shops there are many tourists, English speakers. It's like flat out English, and it gets a little chaotic, but it does. You can still complete the transaction, but I do think it's helpful. It is my recommendation to, you know, do. And you're not gonna become fluent on this, but like do some Duolingo. That'll at least that'll help. That'll at least help a little bit, especially like learning the characters, because um, using the English Pokemon card names will not help. I'll put it that way. Um, yes, in learning katakana, you'll be able to type in toreka with a Japanese keyboard. You can also just like Google that too and just copy and paste it into the maps, and that's how you can look up shops on Google Maps as well. Next, that's the whole time thing. Is that like a lot of times are gonna be taken up riding the trains, but walking between locations, pulling up, and like another thing that will save you time too. That I want to get into the next subject too, is know what you're gonna buy. Have an idea of what you're looking for. Um, Whether your specialty is high end, like know what you're looking for and already have kind of like the set price to look for. Everything here is going to be in yen, so you should already have a general idea of what the price is in yen and what it'll be in USD, because that'll allow you to kind of like do the math, see a card, look at the price in yen, and be like, okay, that price makes sense. That's a good price. Combine that with an idea of your price history, of a condition of the card with the price. So, for example, for me, my kind of sweet spot for the Kodo Mew is 0. Obviously, it's not going to be 0, but it's like up to like high end 30,000 yen and below is like worth looking at for me. And then from there, once I look at it, I after looking at the card, I instantly know whether it is a like buy or not. Those types of things will allow you to move faster at stores, because the time it takes for you to pull out a phone, connect, look at prices, comps, that eats up so much time. And before you know it, you're at a store for an hour or something, looking just like staring at your phone. It's not a bad thing too if you're at a store that long. Chances are they might have some stuff that like really resonates with you. So just be cognizant of that. Um, Continuing on price history, like know where you're looking for, know what shops have, like, and there's no other way around it other than repetitions, going to shops, generally knowing what they have. So, off the top of my head, I'm gonna do a rundown of the different shops and chains and what they'll generally have. Um, First would be Full Comp. They mostly carry newest sets, ultra modern, like Scarlet Violet, Sword Shield, Sun and Moon, and past that, not too much else. Usually it's mostly the modern stuff, and then they may have like a case of like special price, like scratch specials. Second would be Sudagaya. They will have a variety of stuff across all eras. They're also a chain, hobby chain. So a lot of anime goods, idol goods, TCGs from their series, CDs, etc. And the one in Akiba is pretty decent. The one in Yokohama is really good. Um, so if you just look up locations, some of them may not carry trading cards, but they have a little bit of everything. But it's like your mileage will vary. Book Off, they're everywhere. Uh, Ikebukuro Book Off has pretty much all modern only, and for the most part, most locations will just have the most recent release. Tons of 33N storage boxes. Um, Again, like you go further outside of the metro, Tokyo, and you'll find a lot of like you can find some hidden gems. I'm gonna go into that in a second. Um, Next is in Akiba. There's Otachu, one of my personal favorites. There's this building, uh, 9 floors. PDGs on 7 and 9. They are a not they're like a growing chain. They have multiple locations throughout Japan now in Nagoya and Osaka. But Otachu has probably in my opinion, like the most diverse selection. Like they have a store now in Akiba, where Honjo used to be, where they do have more of the newer stuff, ARs, CHRs, some vintage, and stuff from recent sets. But their 8th floor shop, Otachu second, wedged between the PDG stores, have my favorite like storage bins, E series, VS, old back, Bandai, Nintendo era, you name it, all the way up to like the Sun and Moon era, modern. Newest releases, not so much, and they have a side with Yu-Gi-Oh too, so definitely go there. And then Yellow Submarine, your mileage will vary. A lot of different stuff, different condition. And then what else? And I think this is where the videos kind of come into play with what's helpful. You actually do see generally what's in the case, and it's gonna be a little time intensive, but you do like enough research across the videos, like you'll see different stores what they carry in terms of like the rating of stores. If somebody says that a store is good or not, I would like maybe this is me like reading between the tea leaves too much, but I would take that with a little bit more grain of salt because like your sample size will be wildly different from their sample size, and their sample size is also not very large also. Like I tell this to peers in the space all the time that even if someone says the store is great, you might go in and you might find nothing just because like your area might be so different from what the store has of like the stuff that you buy, and somebody may have come 10 minutes before you and like did a clean sweep, and like they got to the deals before you did, and like you're just, you know, right place wrong time. But there's hope is not lost. You can come back another day if you have the time. And this kind of goes back to time again, where like if somebody has a limited amount of time, that is just their window to make the most of it, whereas somebody else who can go back multiple times over the course of a few weeks, more likely to be able to, you know, find some stuff at good prices. There's this tweet that I'll never forget. It was on Japanese Pokemon TCG Twitter. I don't know if it went viral or anything, but it came up on my feed and I liked it. Bookmarked it. It's probably buried. But the tweet basically said, it was so true. Foreigners have the capital, have the cash, but we have the home turf. Could not be more true, because at the end of the day, you or I are here for a limited amount of time. Even more so for somebody whose first time is here, where you probably shouldn't be buying cards. Maybe more so just like enjoying the time here and doing some other stuff. Versus somebody who lives here and they can come twice a week, every week for a whole year. That's 104 visits to a good store that is consistently cycling through inventory. And yeah, you know, more times going to a store, more possibilities of being able to pick up a good deal, because the store sizes, in case you didn't know here, rooms are small here, and there's only so much space for things. So when new inventory comes in, you got to get rid of, you know, you naturally got to get rid of, you know, what's still there, and those are opportunities for people to get a good deal. So to like maximize the amount of time that you're here, like, can you make those repetitions to card shops? Are you able to like do the research into like what shops and chains? I know I didn't cover it a lot, and that's not the point of this video, but like you look up what chains carry the type of cards you're looking for. No, try to pick up a little bit of the language, get a lay of the land in terms of like where you're going to be shopping for cards throughout the day, what areas you're going to hit, strategically being strategic about what train lines you're taking, and that is really just scratching the surface of just like trying to make this like work from like a numbers perspective, and in terms of buying. Next, you have to actually buy the stuff too, and you know, identify what to buy, and then turn around and then, you know, do what you gotta do with it uh, to come out on the other end, I guess, on in the black. And that's just for, I guess you could apply it to all the cities around Japan too. For me, kind of like how I do it is each time I'm here, I'll make a trip down to Osaka, and I'll go down there in the morning. I'll just buy my Shinkansen ticket on the way down. Those, and that's also another cost to take into account too. Shinkansen tickets are not cheap, but it is just the highest convenient way to get down there. If you miss your train, you take the next one. Planes are cheaper, but in terms of time, missing a flight, being delayed, being on a plane, like to me, it's just not worth it. You had to take an hour out to like Narita or Haneda. You get there early, get on the plane, hope it's not delayed, sit on the plane for an hour and a half, hour ish, get down to Osaka. You're still an hour out from the main uh, like area south of Namba. So end to end, that is a 3+ hour trip versus taking Shinkansen. Just take a train to Tokyo Station, Shinagawa, get on the train, relax for 2.5 hours, and get off and take a 20 minute train to Namba. And then all the card shops in Osaka or in that area, and Umeda a little bit too. So I do that for a day, get a capsule for the night, $25, stay overnight. Next morning, knock out a couple more shops in Osaka, head to Nagoya on the way back, do the shops there, come back to Tokyo by the end of the day. And that's like a big part of just like cost versus time. How many shops can you hit? What do you know? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you like, if you can like just know off the top of your head like what type of card this is, to what price it is, to what can you price it at? Have you sold this before? So important. Like it all like goes together, and like maybe it's like you have to, I think it's just you have to do it first to like know what I really mean, I guess. What else is there to share on this topic? That goes for graded cards too. That's not too different. Generally, most shops, about half of the shops take cards. The chains take cards. Some of the smaller shops will probably be cash only. So definitely have that ready. Best to like bring cash and exchange it at the airport, in my opinion, unless you have a debit card with no foreign transaction fees, and then you can use it at an ATM whenever you do need cash. But yeah, for me, also going back to time again, too, one last thought is I I have my list of restaurants that I go to eat up and refill at. I do not recommend eating all your meals at konbinis. You do not have to do that. For a quick snack, sure, but like this whole touristy thing about eating at the konbini is not it. Um, but do try to find like, if you're looking to really maximize your time, then better be happy eating fast food. Not fast food as like McDonald's, but like fast Japanese chains where you get a good clean meal for cheap and you can be in and out in like 20 minutes. And then next thing you know, you got all these cards and it's time to go home. That's about it.